All right, guys, we are so excited to celebrate 5 years of Primo. We often can't believe it. The time has flown by. It still feels like we just started it, and now we're in this big warehouse. And so we're excited to talk a little bit about how we got here, some of the things that we have going on, and then what we've got coming up. So for those of you who don't know, Primo means cousin in Spanish, and we started this company as cousins. We all grew up in a small town in Northern California, pretty much doing everything together. So when we initially had the idea to start the company, it kind of made sense to start it together. So when we had the idea initially for Primo, we didn't know exactly what it would turn into. And I was working actually in the golf industry with Jason at a company here locally in Utah.
Yeah, it was actually a software company, which is kind of funny because, software doesn't have anything to do with golf apparel. But Matty came up to me and he's like, "Hey, you want to make golf joggers?" And I'm like, all in. And
Well, and I think my selling point was that I was like, we could kind of have it be like an athletic brand, like an athletic golf brand. And
well, the selling point actually for me was, he's like, we can have a really cool warehouse and do fun stuff like Dude Perfect. And at that point I was like, heck yeah. And so from there we went to Jordan and my other brother, and we just decided to get it going.
so it worked out. Jason was interested, and I reached out to Jordan and to Kirk and sent them both a text. And
Yeah, he sent me a text and I said, great, let's go to lunch and talk about it. And the rest is history.
So you weren't in California at the time, were you?
No, I was still in Utah.
But then you moved to California before we really knew what Primo was going to become.
Yeah, I was actually living with your parents in California doing all the customer support in the room that you grew up in for the first, year?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
to be fair, we tried to start actually in 2019.
Right at the end.
Right at the end of 2019, and then everything obviously got delayed because early 2020, the entire world shut down, and we're like, should we even do this anymore? I don't know.
Well, and it helped that we were working at a golf software company that kind of gave us some insight to show that at the beginning stages of the pandemic, like golf was actually exploding. So that gave us a little bit of confidence to be like, all right, let's still launch this. So we did, and I think we sold our first jogger on June 15th, 2020, and we had no idea. I think we started, with 250 pairs of joggers?
250.
Pre-sale.
Yes. The funny part about that is he says we had confidence, but I remember having conversations like, man, we could buy all these joggers, and if nobody buys them, what are we going to do with this? Maybe we could try to sell them online and get our money back, like on KSL Classifieds or something like that.
Which is the Utah Craigslist.
The Utah Craigslist. So yeah, we thought, maybe we'll sell them on the classifieds and try to make our money back. But yeah, it's interesting. Early on June 15th, 2020, when we officially sold our first pair, we didn't actually have any joggers. We had ordered them, but we didn't have any money to pay for them yet. So we did a pre-sale. We had one sample that happened to fit me. And we just took some pictures of those and, just decided hopefully.
We threw up an Instagram, made a website,
Yeah.
ran some Facebook ads, and
hoped our manufacturer could duplicate everything that we needed in the right sizes, but.
and everything wasn't perfect initially, but
So this is it. This is the first pair. We took photos of me in a rented studio wearing this, and this was the only Primo item I had, so I had a different brand polo, hat, everything.
well, and it was funny because we ran it as an ad.
A little
To
bit
state
bigger.
the obvious, they're a little bit bigger than normal. So it was like he was wearing pants that were too short, his muscles were too big, and it was crazy the interactions we were getting from these ads that we were running, because it was a relatively new product, and joggers for whatever reason, are kind of were and kind of still are a controversial golf apparel item. And so,
And Jordan says I have a controversial golf physique, so.
Well, you do.
And I get a lot of hate on the internet because of it, but it is what it is.
Well, that first photo shoot with your tricep, how were you flexing or was that natural?
yeah, we're gonna have to show that picture.
I would put these on now, but I've kind of gained a little bit of weight, so.
Well, and it's funny to think back to these times and think of like how in some ways it feels like we're still figuring things out, but in a lot of ways we can see how we've progressed. I mean, you just mentioned a photo shoot that we did one time. Like, I thought that I could do it.
Yeah, our first on-course photo shoot was Maddie running the camera and Jason
I can't even look at the
as
pictures.
the model.
It was that day that we knew we needed to hire
Yeah.
someone. And so basically from then, we did the pre-sale. It went really well. We sold out of those 250 pairs in less than a week. We ordered more, sold out of those quickly. And at this point, we were all still working full-time jobs. And the idea generally was that, you know, we'd start one by one going full-time when we felt that we were missing opportunities growing Primo. So I think it was in April of 2021 when I went full-time. And it was a big decision because it was like, can we do this? Does this make sense? But it did, and it made sense. One of the big things that came quickly from that was getting into Shields. If you're not familiar with Shields, they're an awesome retailer that we've had awesome success with. And then shortly thereafter, Jordan went full time. I think it was maybe June.
I think it was the summer. I think it was a few months after you.
Yeah, moved back from California.
That's right. So I, finally got out of your parents' house, and then our first location was in Kirk's basement.
Yep.
I think we were there roughly a year. What did we have? 4 jogger colors at the time?
Yeah, I think we were up to 4 joggers.
And
We
4
started selling,
polos.
and
Yeah.
belts.
That's right, yeah.
Did we have? I don't think we had hats.
We didn't have hats
We didn't have
yet.
hats for a long time.
Hats are hard.
After that, we've got our official spot in an actual warehouse park. That spot was 1,500 square feet. And I think we were only lasted 3 months before we had to get another 1,500 square foot space like next door.
Just right across the way, yeah. So transferring inventory back and forth in the snow sometimes, it was.
So yeah, so we had those 2 1,500 square foot spaces for about another year, roughly 3,000 total. And then we moved to a 10,000 square foot warehouse, which was a big deal. I remember we walked in there and thought, dang,
Felt so big.
we will never fill this spot out. We signed a 5-year lease and we thought, oh yeah, easy, we'll last 5 years. We lasted about 2.5 years. And now we're in our current spot. So our current spot is 30,000 square foot. And same thing, we're having thoughts of, will we ever fill this out? But right now we take up about half the space, and we can add to our menu, and hopefully in a couple years we can fill this space out. So having this 30,000 square foot allows us to do a lot of cool things. We can add, grow different departments. We're getting into wholesale, so now we have sales, and our customer support team's growing. I think adding office space. I mean, we're desks and computers and all that fun
It's
stuff.
like a real company now, and
Yeah.
for a long time it kind of felt like we were just doing it on our own. But like as we've added, more employees, it feels like there's more weight to what we're doing.
100%. Yeah, it's gonna get to the point where people have to wear name tags, or we're not gonna know who is who.
I know.
But I think ultimately, like, a lot of that stuff has changed, but since day one, we wanted to make cool athletic golf apparel, and that's still what we want to do, just more elevated and just keep upping our game and following that trend. So
Yeah, I mean it's really been interesting at Primo. We've always done it ourselves. We've kept everything in-house, and there's problems and we figure it out amongst ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, none of us worked in apparel before, in a warehouse. A lot of it's new for us, but I'd say we're problem solvers.
Yeah, 100%. We weren't planning to move, but we hired a salesman and we quickly realized that we needed to order a lot more product. So I think Jason put in these huge orders, and I remember him asking me, he's like, do you think we'll be able to fit this in the warehouse?
Well, you said yes, and I was like, I'm surprised you're saying that because I don't think they're gonna fit, and you're usually more worried about these things than I am. So.
I was so confident, but then as the inventory was about to arrive, quickly realized we were not going to fit in this 10,000 square foot.
Maxed out. Yep.
100%. We were talking about, like, should we rent storage units?
We're gonna get a trailer out the back of our warehouse.
Well, it was affecting everyone.
Oh,
Everyone in all the different departments were getting affected because we were so tight on space.
yeah, there was nowhere to go.
Right.
So luckily, the park we're in, they had an empty space, and we pulled the trigger and got it done in a month from start to.
Because we had to. There was no other. Like we
had
knew
shipments
how
on the way.
much, how much inventory was going to be coming.
Yeah,
And it was literally not going to fit.
it wasn't going to work. So we found the space, and we're like, yes, let's do it. They said we had 30 days to move a full 10,000 square foot warehouse
Thousands of boxes.
out. Yeah, we had the big racks, the picking racks, everything.
Well, and from day one, we've always done things ourselves, so we thought it would be a good idea to keep doing it ourselves.
I mean, Jason was like, hey, we should hire a moving company. And again, I was a little confident, like, no, we got that. Luckily, what would you say? It's 100 yards from our old
Yeah.
spot.
Yeah.
So in 30 days, how many guys do we have? 8 guys at the most, maybe 6
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah. So many people came to help.
Yeah. Friends and family helped us move, but we had the dolly carts, the piano movers, and we moved a full 10,000 square foot warehouse by ourselves.
In an organized way. I think that was the hardest part. It's not like we just threw
Yeah.
all the boxes in here and then figured it out later.
Right. I mean, I had the grid paper, and I'm like measuring stuff with tape measure, and I had an idea of where I wanted everything to go and mapped it out, and so
I feel like it was snowing at least a third of the time too.
yeah. It was very snowy, but we did it.
We're here.
So we moved in here March 1st. What is it? May 15th now. So we've been here about 2.5 months, and we're still kind of getting settled. This place came with a basketball hoop, so we've been getting a lot better at basketball. But yeah, it's exciting.
So a big part of the growth that we've had and part of the reason that we've needed these bigger warehouses is that we've been able to develop some really good relationships. Early on, we knew that there was a lot of power in social media influencers. And so we didn't know exactly how to go about it, but we started making connections. And we've had some big ones along the way. One of the big ones early on was Mac Boucher. He kind of got his start around the same time that we did. You guys probably know Mac from hitting his slingers and all the incredible shots that he hits. And it was great because he would wear our joggers, and in the comments you would just see so many people like asking like, what pants are those? What are those joggers? And it was great for us to see because it was clear to us that the joggers were drawing attention. Whether people loved them or hated them, they noticed them. And Mac was so so big in helping us spread the word early on. And obviously a lot of other relationships have come since then. As many people know, we work really closely with Grant Horvat. And we're a couple years into working with Grant, and it's been crazy. I mean, Grant's growth has been unlike anything that I think anyone expected. So to have him repping Primo in all of his videos.
Well, he's not just repping it; he's a
yeah.
coworker
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
So
Right. I mean, he's now a part owner of Primo, which has really changed everything. Because, I mean, skipping ahead a little bit, like we signed Phil Mickelson in the High Flyers, which is something that just wouldn't have happened without Grant. So it's crazy. People ask us all the time, like, how did that even happen? How did you get to know Grant? How did you get to know Phil? And it's not a quick story to tell because there's so many steps that led to it. Like obviously the first step is having these joggers that somehow exploded and somehow became this really popular thing that people kind of latched onto and started talking about. So it really was a step-by-step thing. I mean, to touch on it really briefly, Grant, we just got to know by sending him a DM and sending him some joggers. He started wearing them, and then we signed him for a 1-year deal, and that went really well. And then that's when we brought him on as a part owner. And now we're doing awesome things with him, like all these different collaborations and collections that he's designing, and he's a big part of what we're doing. And so it's just really cool to see the progression, and it's not something that happens in a blink of an eye. There's a million points in the process that we can say, well, it might not have happened if this didn't happen. And so it's hard to point to a specific moment and say this is when things really changed, but it's really been a progression that's kind of led us where we are today with some of the people that we work with.
You know, the cool part about working with these guys, Mac and Grant and Phil and the High Flyers, is we've got to spend some time with each of them and get to know them, and they're genuinely really cool, good dudes. And you know, on top of that, they also personify to the highest level, you know, what we're trying to do here at Primo, which is golf at the highest level.
And people love to ask us about it.
Yeah.
You know, people love to ask us, like, have you actually met Grant? Like, do you hang out with Grant? Did you actually get to meet Phil? And like, yeah, like we were just, it was crazy. This just happened. We were down in Mexico at the Live Golf event, and I'll never forget this moment. Jordan and I, it was like the last hole of the practice round, and Phil, you know, I mean, he's just like, we walked the whole practice round with him, and he's just hitting some practice shots, and we're just standing right behind him. And I look over at Jordan, and I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, you know, walking the fairway with Phil, and he's, you know, talking to us, and we're talking shop, walking to his ball in the green. He's about to putt, and he's talking. He's like, okay, hold that thought. And he like putts, and then we just get back into conversation.
And he's
it's
like talking
whoa.
shop and like saying, have you guys considered this and this? And, you know, these guys are passionate about, you know, not just golf, but like the details of the close too, which is why I think our relationship is so awesome with them, because, you know, they're bought in, we're bought in, and, you know, I think it just gels really cool. And yeah, you know, speaking of just our trip recently in Mexico, but at other times, I think we always just look at each other like, what are we doing here? How do we get here? This is pretty cool.
It's easy to forget that, like we get in the weeds of everything that's going on, you know, like putting in orders, like making sure customers are happy, which are all super important things. But, you know, we have people come up to us quite often, especially lately, and say things like, you guys are killing it. Like, I can't believe that you signed Phil. And it is crazy. Like, it is a good reminder for us to be like, you're right. Like, it is crazy that these things happen. And for many reasons, it's so good. Like, obviously the exposure that we get from these guys is, you know, it's invaluable. But also they push us to be better. Like, we have to consider that when we're designing and we're trying to find new materials and improve our products in every single way, like, these are things that guys like professional golfers on the PGA Tour, on the Live Tour, Grant Horvat, and other guys, like, they're going to be wearing in front of a camera that millions of people are going to see. Like, it has to be good.
We're a big part of their image, so yeah, there's definitely pressure.
Yeah, good pressure, I would say. And it's really pushed us to improve processes all across the board, to grow our product team, to make sure that, like, our products are fresh and that we're not going out of style, but we're taking into account like technology and like fabrics, and really like thinking about those details so that when someone actually puts in an order and receives it, that they open it and they're proud of it. Because it's one, like, a lot of people are seeing Grant and seeing Phil and these other guys and saying, oh, I want to try Primo. But what's going to bring people back is if it's a good piece of clothing, and we understand that. So we've really, especially lately, been putting more and more resources into that.
Okay, so what's next? We've got a lot of big plans in the future, but ultimately, to sum it all up, we started with the idea of making clothing for the athletic golfer. And I think we're just going to continue to elevate that as much as we can. We're going to improve our technology, our product offerings, our designs, and just keep elevating as much as possible, but still with the same goal that I guess we've always had.
Yeah, 5 years in the books. Crazy. It's all thanks to our customers, the support that we've received. So we're excited for the next 5 years, and, you know, what value can we bring to you guys. So let us know in the comments what you would like Primo to come out with in the next little bit, and Yeah.
We take customer feedback very seriously. Reach out to us in one way or the other. That feedback will make it to us. And we just want to make sure that our customers are happy. It's something we talk about all the time. And like Jordan said, we're so grateful for where we are. And it's not lost on us that we wouldn't be here without, people going on and ordering and telling their friends and being proud to wear Primo. So we're committed to bringing top-notch products to you guys. It will be a priority for us, and keep an eye out for what we have coming. We're so excited about it, and thank you so much.